I grew up on the Gulf Coast, Houston, Texas. We would go to the beach and you would have to bring kerosene. And the kerosene was to clean off the tar that you would accumulate when you swam in the ocean. You would come out and you would have patches of tar all over you, and you would use kerosene to clean off the tar. And that was my experience of going to the beach. In 2015, I first had the inclination to at least check out buying an electric vehicle. A friend of a friend made a documentary called The Great Invisible about the Deep Horizon oil spill. This documentary focused on the people that live on the Gulf of Mexico and make their living either fishing or in the oil industry. And both of those industries were devastated after Deep Horizon. It hit me so hard. When we walked out of the theater, I told my husband, I'm never buying gasoline ever again. I don't want to contribute to this industry. And he said, what about getting an all-electric car? And I said, well, you can't really do that though, right? I mean, how does that work? How do you take trips? How would we go visit friends in California? We're renters. Don't you have to have a charging station at your house? And I would say it took us a year of exploring all those hesitations that people have. My name is Amy Mitchell. I live in Bend, Oregon. I've lived here since 2001, and I'm a teacher. I teach high school science in Redmond. And I lived briefly in Redmond, but for most of my time in Central Oregon, I have commuted between Bend and Redmond. I now own a 2013 all-electric Nissan Leaf that has about 60 miles of range, depending on temperatures and elevation, and I use it to commute to my job every single day. When it came time to decide whether owning an electric vehicle could be a reality, we did a lot of research on what cars are out there. And when you initially examine your electric vehicle choices, I think people are drawn to Teslas. I'm a teacher, my husband works at a bike shop. That wasn't gonna work. Was there an option that was affordable for us? When we started looking at used electric vehicles, they're very reasonable. Then we looked at the cost of charging an electric vehicle, and it was significantly less than, I was spending $200 to $250 a month on gas. To charge our electric vehicle was about $50 a month. The cost that we did not understand at the time that we were going to save is maintenance. There's no oil changes. There's just so few things that can go wrong that was a very unexpected savings for us that we had not calculated into our purchase, and has afforded us the ability to take more vacations and buy more Central Oregon toys. So it's been a win-win for us economically. From the time that we thought for the first time about getting an electric vehicle to the day that we bought an electric vehicle was almost exactly 1 year. Our regret is that we waited that year. And we get the question often, well, should I buy an electric vehicle now, or should I wait for a longer range vehicle to become available at a more affordable price? And my answer is, buy one today, buy one right now, because yes, the technology will continue to get better, but what you use your car for on a day-to-day basis, an electric vehicle has everything that you need right now. If we could have saved those 12 months of me commuting 40 miles every single day in a gas-powered car, if I could have given one more year back to the earth, that sounds a little dramatic, but that's the way I think of it, I would have done it in a heartbeat. Had we known how easy it is to own an electric vehicle, I wish we had done it the day that the thought crossed our minds. So we encourage people who are EV curious to not wait and wonder what might be better around the corner. We have been renters much of our time living in Bend, and you have less control, less decision making as a renter. When we were considering an electric vehicle, we were pretty worried about how that would work as renters. When we found out that you do not have to install a charging station in your home, that alleviated most of that pressure from us as renters. Most apartments don't provide you with a garage. You're parking outside. How does that work? Do you run an extension cord from the building across a sidewalk to plug into your car? So we were pretty worried about becoming apartment dwellers and owning an electric vehicle. I'm really glad to say that the apartment that we're currently in, the management was extremely willing to work with us. They had previous requests from tenants or potential tenants about where an electric vehicle could be charged. They also expressed to us that they knew that they would get more such requests in the future. So we have felt very well supported. I don't know that it would work well in every apartment situation, just to be perfectly honest. But we spoke up and advocated for ourselves, and it was because others before us had spoken up and advocated that our landlords were willing to say, you know, you are not the first to ask. Maybe this is something we should consider. Usually when we travel, we as a society, we're focused on our destination. It was definitely an adjustment to get away from that mindset. We bought our Leaf in Portland at about 6 o'clock at night on a Saturday night and had to get home to Bend that night over Mount Hood in the dark. It was November, and we were just giddy. That first adventure, taking it from Portland to Bend, not knowing exactly what the range was. What we have found since is that most of the trips we do can be done in our electric vehicle. We drive to Coos Bay, where my husband's family lives, in our electric vehicle. And the journey is more fun because every 60 miles, you're at a charging station that might be at a winery or a cute little market or a rest stop, and you're out walking, you're getting a snack, you're a more rested, alert driver, and it makes the journey more of an adventure rather than I just have to get to Portland. We've really had a good time exploring the limits, I guess I would say, of our electric vehicle and how many adventures we can have in this car. I would say that buying an electric vehicle was not the first of my environmental choices, far from it, but it also has certainly not been the last. There are choices out there that are possible for commuters, for apartment dwellers, for people who want to live more lightly on the earth. So I think just having conversations about our electric vehicle has really made an impact in that those around us, we have lots of friends who have now purchased electric vehicles. One of my best friends has our identical car. We're little twinsies. He's also a coworker, and at work we park next to each other, and the students notice that. So just as a conversation starter and getting people to think about what they might choose to do, to even be aware of those choices has been really satisfying for us.